my channel, True Talk with Ericka Sallee, where I empower women to live fulfilled, to focus on well-being mentally, physically, and spiritually, and to transform into the best versions of themselves. And so I'm excited that you've landed here. And if this is the first time that you are here on my channel, then let me specially greet you and just take a moment to introduce myself. As a speaker, Amazon #1 best-selling author, and transformation success coach, I get super excited about helping women to figure out what is it that stands in the way of your success. And when we figure that out, then I get to share the strategies to help you move beyond those barriers so that you can, yes, create whatever your next best looks like. And so if these are conversations that you want to continue to hear, then I do encourage you to, yes, subscribe to the channel, share this out, turn the notification bell on so that you know when new videos are uploaded, and then leave a comment and let me know what you think about this conversation. And if by chance you are a gentleman who stumbled across this channel, then I do encourage you to share this out with a special woman in your life, whether that's your wife, your companion, your best friend, your sister, your auntie, whomever. You may know someone in your circle who would be blessed by what they hear on this channel. So, I was trying to figure out, like, how do I want to title this conversation? And the best thing that I could come up with was a question. And that question is, have you reached your capacity? Now, let me ask it again, because as I've asked the question, you're probably like, oh yeah, I'm there right now. Have you reached your capacity? So a little while ago, so my son runs track, and so recently we had come back home from a meet. Now, a lot of times when we go to what's called the invitationals, there are lots of schools and lots of events, and so it's a really, really, really long day. So for those of you who used to run track, or your children are doing it right now, or your grandchildren, and this sounds familiar, then I'm not by myself, so you know what I'm talking about. So we come home one evening after an invitational, and clearly he's tired, and it was probably about 8:30, almost 9 o'clock at night. I'm throwing together some dinner for him, and so when he finished eating, I said, oh, you have to make your lunch for tomorrow. And he just hung his head down, and he just shook his head. He said, I can't do it. I can't do it. And so I said, okay, well then maybe leave yourself some time in the morning to make your lunch. And he said again, he said, oh, I can't do it. And I laughed. We laughed about it together. And so he said, looks like I'm gonna be buying lunch tomorrow. So we laughed about it, but I said, okay, whatever is gonna work for you in this moment, or something to that effect. So it started me to thinking, and I'm glad that in that moment he recognized, he's like, I don't have any more energy to do anything else. I've been running all day. It was a long trip back from the event back to school, and then picking him up, coming home, getting dinner together, and not to mention that it was a school day. So knowing that he had no more energy in the tank, like he had nothing else, he's like, I only have enough energy to take a shower and to go to bed. So when I started thinking about that, I thought, how many of us often reach our capacity and we don't put the brakes on and we just keep going? Ask that again. How many of us have reached our capacity, and maybe even as you're watching this right now, you're like, ooh, that sounds like I'm probably there right now. So you might say, well, how do I know that I've reached my capacity? Well, if you say to yourself, just like my son, I can't do another thing. Like if you've ever said it, or you've thought it in your mind, like, I don't have enough energy to do one more thing. If you've ever said that to yourself, if you're saying it right now, then that's a sign that you've reached your capacity. If you say to yourself, maybe you're starting to repeat things, or you're looking at something and it really doesn't make sense, or you're like, okay, I've been doing this for a while, I've been putting in the time, I've been putting in the hours, and right now nothing is clicking. That might mean that you've reached your capacity. I have a habit, and I'm really recognizing that this is something that I have to put my own barrier of capacity on. This actually happened to me a few nights ago. So sometimes I get settled in to the evening with going through, making sure I'm doing things that are on my to-do list. And the other night, I was actually looking at a platform that I'm using to upload some content and videos and things of that nature. And as I was looking at it, there were several templates that I had the option to choose from. Like, do I want the layout to look like this? Do I want it to look? So I'm going through these layouts and I'm looking at the previews for all of them. And it was getting late, and I knew that it was probably time for me to shut things down. But I was going through these templates and I'm previewing each of them. And what I found myself doing was I was going back to preview the same templates that I had just previewed. And I realized, I was like, okay, you just looked at this. You're doing this over and over and over. And in my mind, I thought, well, I can keep going and I can select one and get this over with. But because I knew that I was continuing to look at the same templates over and over and over, and as I was looking at them, I was kind of like getting stuck in the formatting. And then I would go out and then I would go back in and I would get stuck in the formatting. So I'm doing the same thing over and over and getting no result. I didn't even select a template. Why? Because my brain was starting to shut down. And I remember saying to myself, and I logged out of the platform and I closed my laptop and I said, Ericka, you don't have any more energy to do anything else. So put the laptop away. So that's when you know you have reached your capacity. Those are some of the signs. We think that we have all this energy and we get to a place and it's just like, okay, I can do. But your body and your brain is telling you something totally different. So that's when you know that you have reached your limit. So here's the thing. Well, knowing that, what do you do? So I want to share a couple things with you. Wrote a few things down just to share, because I think that we're in a time now, and this is something that has become a constant approach to doing life, and that is cram as many things in a day as you possibly can, because then it makes us feel like, we're productive and we're getting things done and we're busy. Busy and productive are two different things. It's probably a conversation for another time. But when we're trying to cram those things in, then we get to the point where we're like, oh God, I'm exhausted. That has a whole nother set of implications from a mental, physical, and spiritual health perspective. So let me share these few things. So when you have identified that you've reached your capacity, what do you do? And before I share the what do you do, I want to say this. Sometimes we know that we've reached our capacity, but yet and still, we still keep going. Sometimes we know we have reached our capacity either by the things that I indicated, a few ways that you can tell, I just shared a few minutes ago, or other things that you know, like maybe you know what your limit is, but even when you know, you still insist on moving forward, doing things. So what can you do when you have reached your capacity? Well, number one, draw the line in the sand. Draw the line in the sand. It's just like, so there's two ways to think about drawing the line in the sand. It is either when you tell yourself that you have reached your limit, like what I just shared with you in terms of sitting down in front of my laptop, looking at templates, like I knew that I had reached my capacity. So I had to tell myself, all right, girl, you got to shut it down. So that was me drawing the line in the sand for myself. Sometimes we also have to draw the line in the sand with other people. Just like when my son said to me, I don't have capacity to make my lunch. I don't have any more energy. So he's telling me what he doesn't have capacity to do. So that's letting me know, you know what? Let me back off. Because the other thing that he said was, I'll figure it out. So when he said, I'll figure it out, that means I didn't have to put any more energy into trying to make him move beyond the capacity that he already had, okay? Another form of drawing the line in the sand is to be very clear with other people when they want to push us to say a yes and we feel like, you know what, this has to be a no. It might be a number of different examples that fit that. Whether it's somebody in your family who wants you to do something and you know you don't have the energy, or you've allotted time to do other things and you don't have the capacity to fit that in. It might be that there's a to-do list that you've created and you've put 10 things on that to-do list, and your capacity, your mind, your body, and your spiritual capacity may say to you, you know what? You only have feasible time to do 5 of these things, not all 10. So drawing a line in the sand is where you make that clear distinction as to what that capacity is, and making sure not to go beyond that. Now, I know it takes some training, some mindset shifts and all that, but that is the first step. The second way to manage when you know you've reached your capacity is to step away. Just step away. Now, stepping away might be different depending on what the thing is that you've reached capacity on. You might say to yourself, okay, I've been sitting at this desk, I've been working nonstop for 3 hours. So stepping away might be, let me push back, let me get up, let me stretch, let me move around. That might be stepping away. Or if it's something where you know that you have like a huge decision to make and maybe there are multiple moving parts, stepping away might be, okay, let me move away from this for an hour or a couple days. Here's another example. So recently I went to the car dealership. I was leasing my vehicle because leasing worked for me in terms of mileage and all the other things associated with it. And it came time for me to take my car in to either get something new, and boy was it tempting to get something new, or another option. And so the day that I went in, there was just like a whole lot. You know, I had test driven some newer models of the vehicle that I have and some other models. And there was a lot coming at me, you know, numbers and all the things. And I said, you know what? After I had been sitting there for a while, I had reached my capacity, because I could hear all the things and all the bells and whistles of the new cars that I was driving. And I'm like, okay, do I want to do this? And what's this going to look like? So all of that was going through my mind. And so I knew that at a point I had reached my capacity. And I said, you know what? I need to walk away, think about this, make some decisions, and I'll come back in a couple days. Okay? So walking away or stepping away might be for a couple days, or it could be for a week, a month. You get to decide based on what the thing is. And that will determine how long that step away period is. But that is step number 2. So when you know you've reached your capacity, you can't take in any more information, you can't write anything else down, you can't process anything else, step away, okay? And then here's the last part, is to identify the alternative, okay? Identify the alternative. So if you know, okay, I have reached my limit, and if I know that I can't go any further, then what's next? Now, the what's next may also look different. It might be that you can do what my son did. If the alternative was, if I don't make my lunch tonight, I know that I still have to eat lunch tomorrow, so how am I going to do that? He had a couple of alternatives. It was give yourself time in the morning to make your lunch, or buy lunch at school. So his alternative was the latter. He decided to buy lunch. For me, in the stepping away, when I just gave the example of, you know, what I was going to do with my car, the alternative for me was, well, I can either go into a new lease with a newer model of the car that I have, or I can buy the car that I have because I only had 35,000 miles on my vehicle after 4 years, okay? So those were the alternatives. So with me stepping away, the alternative was, okay, I get to think about how I want this to go for me, and then I get to make a decision, okay? Another alternative might be if you've reached capacity and you know that someone is coming to you to ask if you can do something. Let's say, for instance, you've had a busy week, and you get to the end of the week and you say, you know what, I really want to give myself some downtime because I've had a really busy week. and you have a friend who calls and says, hey, let's go hang out, let's go here, there, we got a lot of things planned. The alternative, when you know you've reached your capacity, is a no. You get to decide, you know what? Because I've reached my capacity, if I draw the line in the sand and I tell my friend, you know what? I'm not going to do it this time. I really need some downtime for me just to be quiet, to be still. The alternative is making a decision to say no. Now, I also know that that's a conversation for another time because many of us have challenges with saying no. I get it. So think about where you are right now, your capacity, what you've reached your limit on. And think about these 3 steps. I'm going to go back through them really, really quickly, and then I'm going to let you go. So what do you do when you know that you've reached your capacity? Number 1, draw the line in the sand. That is when you know, okay, this is a time where I must stop. I don't have anything else to give. Number 2, step away from the thing. Stepping away, giving yourself an opportunity to just slow down, to rethink, to shift, not have to process, not have to make quick decisions, not have to exert any more energy than what you have. And then giving yourself the alternative, right? If I don't do this, if I reach my capacity on this, does that mean I do it another day? Does it mean I do it another way? Or I don't do it at all? Here's another thing that I want to leave you with before we end this conversation. And again, I do encourage you to leave your comments. If something in this conversation resonates with you, then by all means, leave your comments. In the stepping away, use that time to replenish yourself. Use that time to rest, to restore, because when we've reached capacity, what it's saying to us is that, ooh, this is a time when I might need to reset. This is a time when I may have to renew. So incorporating self-care as a part of that stepping away period is going to be oh so crucial, because then what you do is you restore your capacity to either go back to the thing and finish it out, or you restore your capacity to just continue moving on into whatever next looks like for you. So that part is very, very important. And I talk about this whole idea of self-care and how to incorporate that into everything that we do. I have Masterclass, the self-care success strategies, say it 10 times fast, the self-care success strategies for women on the go. And part of that is we have constantly reached capacity in our time, but we're still moving and we're still moving and we don't know how to shut it off. So I do encourage you to check available dates for those master classes in the description of this video so that you can join me. By the way, these are free. This is a free master class. And so if you check the description of this video, you'll see when the next available class is coming up. There is one right around the corner of this video, May the 6th through the 9th from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then if you stay connected with me either here or on my other social media platforms, then you can see when other master classes will be offered. So I am going to say this one last time before I let you get on with the rest of your day, your afternoon, your evening, whatever time you happen to see this. I do believe it is the right time. So subscribe to the channel, share it out, turn the notification bell on, and of course, I do want to hear from you. So leave a comment and let me know what you thought about this topic, and be mindful of your capacity and take care of yourself in the process. So I look forward to seeing you all again real soon. But until I do, take care of yourselves and yes, be well.